This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual people, places, or events is purely coincidental. Open quote, the intelligence, courage, and happiness of the soldier. The desert sun beat down mercilessly on the crumbling mud brick walls of an abandoned compound in Helmand Province. Inside, Staff Sergeant Marcus Vance checked his last magazine. He had only 15 rounds left. Outside, the rhythmic, terrifying thud of heavy machine gun fire chipped away at his only cover. For 3 days, a radical insurgent group had kept him pinned down after his reconnaissance patrol was ambushed. He was wounded, dehydrated, and entirely alone, but he was not forgotten. 60 miles away, at Camp Bastion, a room filled with high-ranking officers and special operations commanders stared at a live satellite feed. The Situation Room hummed with tense energy. Marcus's beacon was still active, blinking a faint crimson dot on the digital map. Captain Sarah Miller, the lead strategist for the Joint Special Operations Command, stepped up to the holographic map table. She had spent the last 6 hours meticulously designing Operation Desert Shield. "Listen up," Captain Miller announced, her voice cutting through the anxiety in the room. "Sergeant Vance is trapped in a hot zone. The enemy has established a perimeter with heavy technical vehicles and anti-aircraft weaponry. A standard helicopter insertion will get our boys shot out of the sky. We go in silent, we strike fast, and we extract via a secondary zone." The plan was a masterpiece of modern military tactics, divided into 3 precise phases: infiltration, suppression, and extraction. Phase 1 relied on the element of surprise. Instead of traditional transports, a specialized team of Navy SEALs would utilize 2 MH-6M Little Bird helicopters flying low to the ground to evade radar and acoustic detection. They would land 2 kilometers north of the compound under the cover of a simulated sandstorm, using night vision capabilities to navigate the treacherous terrain. Phase 2 involved neutralizing the enemy's heavy firepower. An AC-130J Ghost Rider gunship would orbit high above the clouds, completely invisible to the terrorists. The gunship was ordered to hold fire until the ground team breached the perimeter, preventing the enemy from executing the hostage out of panic. Phase 3 was the extraction. A heavily armored terrestrial convoy consisting of 4 Oshkosh MATVs would push through the southern checkpoint simultaneously to create a massive diversion and secure the main road for a clean getaway. At exactly 200 hours, the operation commenced. The night was pitch black. On the ground, Marcus could hear the enemy fighters shouting to each other, preparing for a final assault on his position. He squeezed his rifle, praying for a miracle. Suddenly, the sky didn't fall, but the ground shook. A mile away, the AC-130J unleashed a localized surgical strike. A 105mm artillery shell obliterated the enemy's primary anti-aircraft truck in a flash of blinding light. The sudden explosion threw the terrorists into absolute chaos. "Go, go, go," whispered Master Chief Ramirez into his comms. The SEAL team moved like shadows through the dust. Using suppressed weapons, they neutralized the sentries guarding the northern entrance of the compound within seconds. Ramirez kicked open the rotted wooden door of the room where the beacon was broadcasting. "Vance, U.S. military, get down!" Marcus dropped to the floor as Ramirez threw a flashbang into the hallway, blinding 2 insurgents who were rushing toward the room. In one swift motion, 2 SEALs hoisted Marcus to his feet. He could barely walk, his left leg torn by shrapnel. "We got you, brother," Ramirez said, throwing Marcus's arm over his shoulder. "Time to go home." But the mission was far from over. The explosions had alerted the entire valley. Dozens of terrorist vehicles were converging on their location, headlights cutting through the dark desert night. "Command, this is Ramirez. We have the package, but the back door is burning hot, requesting immediate fire support." High above, the weapons systems officer on the AC-130J locked onto the approaching convoy. "Roger that, ground team, sweeping the area." The sky rained fire. 40mm cannon rounds chewed through the enemy trucks. flipping them into fiery wrecks. Yet, a group of insurgents managed to set up a heavy machine gun on a nearby ridge, pinning the rescue team down just 50 yards from their extraction point. Bullets snapped past Ramirez's head. Right on cue, the heavy rumble of diesel engines roared from the south. The diversion convoy had arrived. An MATV smashed through a perimeter wall, its roof-mounted 50 caliber machine gun instantly silencing the enemy ridge. The rear doors of the armored vehicle flew open. "Get in! Get in!" the driver yelled. The SEALs bundled Marcus into the back of the armored truck. Ramirez jumped in last, slamming the heavy door shut just as RPG rounds exploded against the vehicle's reinforced armor. The driver slammed the accelerator, and the convoy sped away into the safety of the night, leaving the burning stronghold behind. Inside the vehicle, a medic immediately began treating Marcus's wounds, handing him a hydration pack. Marcus took a long drink, tears mixing with the dirt on his face. He looked at the exhausted, soot-covered faces of the men who had risked everything to save him. Back at Camp Bastion, the satellite feed showed the 4 blue icons moving safely out of the red zone. The Situation Room erupted into cheers and applause. Captain Miller finally let out a breath she felt she had been holding for days. She smiled, walking over to the radio console. Close quote. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video from beginning to end. Your support, whether it's watching, liking, commenting, or sharing, truly means a lot and helps us continue creating more content for everyone to enjoy. We sincerely appreciate every viewer who spends their time with our videos. Please remember that this video is a complete work of fiction, created solely for entertainment purposes. All characters, events, locations, names, and situations are entirely fictional and should not be interpreted as real. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, real events, organizations, or places is purely coincidental and completely unintentional. This story is the product of imagination and creative storytelling only. Our goal is simply to entertain and inspire viewers through fictional narratives. We do not intend to spread misinformation, misrepresent real people, or portray actual events. If any similarities appear to exist, they are entirely accidental. Once again, thank you for your continued support. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to stay tuned for more original fictional content in the future. We truly appreciate you being part of our journey, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next video. Take care, and thank you for watching.